This is the all-new 2013 Dodge Dart. The Dart is back. I question whether reviving the Dart name was a good idea, but anyway, they're running with it. I was at the launch of this vehicle when it came out in Austin, Texas. If you want to read my review of when I first drove it, you can go to my website, motormouth.ca. Then I went on a 2-day, 1,000-kilometer-plus road trip through Michigan, and you can watch that video at drivingtelevision.com. And here I have it back again for about a 2.5-week long-term review of this vehicle. Each and every time I've had a chance to drive the Dodge Dart, this is my third time, they give me the exact same car, the Rally Edition with the 6-speed manual transmission and the turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Now, because Dodge didn't have a compact car in their stable, they looked to Europe and to Italy to use that Giulietta platform. They lengthened it and they widened it, but they didn't get rid of the incredible handling that that car has. This is a good-looking car, but it looks very American. You wouldn't know it has an Italian underpinnings. It's got the crosshair grille, a sloped and aggressive-looking nose, a wedge shape with a high rear deck. It's got some really nice styling features like great-looking wheels, the smoked wheels here on the Rally trim. The base model gets hubcaps, but there's so many different wheel options and colors to choose from. Now, this car has size going in its favor. It's one of the biggest compact cars sold in the country. The Cruze is probably the closest competitor, and the biggest car in this class is the Volkswagen Jetta. But unlike the Jetta and the Cruze, this car has an independent rear suspension. They kept the characteristics of that Alfa Romeo when making this car. So they didn't scrimp in the handling front. Independent suspension all the way around and disc brakes all the way around, including the base model. The only other cars that really compete on this front, I would say, is the Ford Focus, which has independent suspension, and also the Mazda 3. A lot of cars have what's called a torsion beam rear suspension, and that really affects handling. That's where this car stands out. Handling and size. Now, this is the end of the car that really looks the most American. It's got the big light that goes across the back that you see in the Charger. It's a nice looking touch. It has an athletic stance at the back, the dual chrome exhaust tips. There's quite a bit of room through here. The back seat's split in a 60-40 split, and there's a ski pass through. The inside, just as many options. Now, this Dodge Dart is available with 14 different interior combinations. They call it from mild to wild. The Rally one we have here is the pinstripes in the seat, make it a little sportier. And underneath the passenger seat, a hidden storage area, much the same way they have in the Dodge Journey. It's a driver-oriented cockpit. It feels very nice, and it feels like you're driving something sporty. The bottom part of the dash here has a bit of a shine to the hard plastic. It's better than the pre-production models I've driven in the past, but still like to see that with a little bit more matte finish. Also, if you go just one up from the base model, the SE, into the SXT and all the models above that, have the option to get the 8.4-inch Uconnect touchscreen, which is one of the biggest screens in the business. I think that the Model S from Tesla is only bigger, and it's huge. It's great because it's quick. You can go from maps to radio to all the different functions in that touchscreen. It doesn't lag at all. I had one problem though, and that was connecting my new smartphone. And the other models I've driven, I had no problem connecting my Android phone to the car, but I got a new one, and it mustn't be on the list of Bluetooth-enabled devices for this car just yet. Now, that I think is definitely worth buying if you're looking at one of these cars. In the center of the controls, there's also a small screen that you can get. I haven't driven with one of those yet, but it has another customizable readout that you can put in there. Whether you need that or not, I'm not sure. The seats are very comfortable. As I said at the beginning, I've spent a lot of time driving this car. One of the trips I did with the Dodge Dart was over 1,000 kilometers through the state of Michigan. And the more I drove this car, the more I appreciated two things: the suspension and the seats. And it's a very comfortable car. So if you're doing a lot of commuting, I would definitely recommend this car for comfort. Back seat also comfortable for kids. The trunk is a really good size, as I mentioned. So on size, this car wins. Available options, it really can't be beat. And now we're going to take it out and show you what this new 1.4 turbo can do. So this Dart is available with 3 different engine choices. The base model is a 2-liter 4-cylinder engine with 160 horsepower. Then the 1.4-liter turbocharged direct injection engine in the Rally here. It's available as an option in other trim levels, and it is 160 horsepower, but it delivers more torque. The top of the range model right now is the 2.4-liter 4-cylinder that's used in other products, and it's good for 184 horsepower. So lots of different engine choices, and we're hoping there's an SRT4 version of this car coming soon. What this car really does well is handle. It's got the independent suspension. It's got that Italian background that I talked about. It's been modified for the North American market. But having driven this car for so many times now, especially on long trips, I can tell you without a doubt that this car will handle as well as the Ford Focus or the Mazda 3, the 2 main competition when it comes to independent suspension, and it really does a fabulous job. Also, it's compliant over bumpy surfaces, especially if you do a lot of highway driving where you get those expansion joints on the highway, especially concrete highways. It really is comfortable. So it has all of that going for it. Now the turbocharged engine, when you're up in the turbo and it's kicking out all the power, it really is a fabulous engine to cruise on the highway, and you can get excellent efficiency. The best number I was able to achieve was 5.7 liters per 100 kilometers, which is 48 or 49 miles per gallon. That's really quite a lot. But when you drive in the city and your foot is into the turbo, in order to get it up and away from a light, the fuel consumption drops. So you have to be willing to live with the turbocharged engine and stop and go traffic. But if you definitely do a lot of highway driving, I would recommend the turbocharged engine. So the thing is, if this turbo had a little bit more bottom end torque to move this rather large compact car, it would do a much better job. It's the same engine that's in the Fiat 500 Abarth, but that's a much smaller car, much more lively, kind of like a Mini. And this car does a good job. A little more bottom end torque would be good, but handling, first rate. And this Dodge Dart has a lot of things going for it. It competes on price in the most important segment in the Canadian market, the compact class. It's big, it's got a large back seat and trunk. It's got many different options, including exterior, interior, and engine choices. But this is one of the things that I wish that this Dodge Dart had more of, a little bit more bottom end grunt to get it out of the pocket and away from a light. You can learn how to do it with the turbo, especially with the manual transmission, but you sacrifice fuel economy. So a little bit more grunt would be nice. And the other thing is, people sitting around the kitchen table thinking about a compact car, they automatically go right to the Japanese models, or they go to the Korean models, or maybe the Cruze or the Volkswagen Jetta. Is the Dodge Dart top of mind yet? Probably not, but this is a very good first attempt of the reincarnated Dodge Dart.